So telling somebody that they can be wildly successful on the Etsy platform without the use of a marketing budget, or just not having a marketing budget, and that you don't need to spend money on Etsy ads, or that it's not needed, you can basically run off into the sunset without any marketing budget, is really dangerous, because it's kind of like the equivalent of saying, hey Sally, you want a car? Cool, let's build this car. Oh, by the way, it's never gonna rain, so we don't need windows for this car. So we're gonna build this entire car and there's not gonna be windows installed on the assumption that it's never going to rain. Oh wait, but then by the way, when it does rain and Sally doesn't have windows for her car, it's not as simple as going to the store and grabbing some glass and installing some windows. It's a little bit more complex than that. The car needs to have the technology and the communication systems that says when I click this button, oh wait, by the way, we don't have that button because we didn't put in the windows. So first we have to get that button, and then we have to put in the technology to say, hey, when you click this button, it has to do something else, and all that has to happen with a button, and that takes time to install. It's just not that simple. I'm not a car expert. I don't know what is the specifics of installing windows, but it's not as simple as just putting in the glass. My point here, if you come into the game and start making higher level decisions like your sale prices or expenses that you may or may not want or need to incur, and you start taking on these expenses, not considering one of the biggest costs associated with running a business, that is marketing, not just in Etsy and e-commerce, but in any business, there is a marketing budget allocated in the breakdown of someone's profit and loss statement. So to come into the game not having that in mind, or believing that you don't need to spend money or invest in marketing in your business, is super dangerous, because then you start making decisions on where your money is being spent without that in consideration. And then when it does rain, you wake up and you realize that your entire business model that you've built is flawed because there was no piece of the pie left to go to marketing. All the money is being spent in other places. When the day comes that in order to be competitive on Etsy across all niches, one of the big KPIs or one of the big things that you're gonna need is profitability with your marketing and your ads. Because you don't have any history or any data collected with what's happening with your shop with ads turned on, right? It's gonna be a lot harder for you to play catch up when you're already super, super behind. A lot of people have different opinions about this, as you'll see on the internet, and that's totally valid, and that actually might be their experience. They might actually be doing great numbers without marketing. I'm not saying that you can't get in today and maybe not come out of the gates with marketing. What I'm saying is that it's important that you understand the makeup of all of the costs associated with a sale, followed by having a good amount of profit left over to give to that marketing cost percentage at the end of the month. And honestly, this is a huge conversation on Etsy right now, and I would love to know in the comment section what your personal experience has been. I think that the reason why a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth with Etsy ads is because they aren't optimizing them profitably and not understanding how to tweak the dials and analyze their metrics to profitability. They're just seeing that my ad budget spent X, but I only made Y, and then just assuming that it wasted their money. To this day, I've sold on Amazon, I've sold on my own website, and I've also sold on Etsy. Etsy to this day is still my cheapest cost per acquisition when it comes to pay-per-click or media buying. Guys, I have full trainings on my Etsy PPC strategies that I would really suggest that you check out so you understand and really thoroughly go through the videos and go through the content, so you're not just blindly going in there and playing with things and turning things on and turning things off and toggling things on and off without knowing what's really going on. So make sure you cue those videos next, and please watch everything. Don't just take one thing out of these videos and then go waste a bunch of money. You do not want to waste money, especially on unoptimized listings. So with all that being said, let's get into this video, and I'm gonna go over the 7 biggest myths that I hear about Etsy ads. One, obviously you don't need Etsy ads, right? So as I already mentioned before, it's not that you can't launch an Etsy shop and not immediately go, balls to the wall, spending $1,000 a day or setting your ads to the max. It's not that you can't be successful without that. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that it's really a flawed idea to think that you can build a business model without marketing built into that business, or on the pretense that you don't need to market for yourself. The next misconception is that Etsy ads waste your money. Now, what you have to understand with Etsy ads and offsite ads is that it's pay per click or pay per purchase for offsite ads. So the idea that Etsy ads is wasting your money is just not true, because it's in the title. It's pay per click. The reason Etsy showed your ad was because in the search bar, someone typed in a keyword that represented the product that you're selling. So that alone is Etsy showing your products to the most hyper-targeted hot traffic pretty much on the internet, because people go to Etsy with their wallets open, ready to buy, right? It's not like TikTok or Instagram. Like, you don't go onto social media, with the intention of purchasing something, right? You go to Etsy with your wallet opening, knowing that it's a commerce platform, telling you that, a hyper-targeted traffic person clicked on your listing. So you actually earn that click in comparison to your competition. This is not like Facebook ads and Instagram ads where you're paying for impressions. We're kind of just trusting Facebook and Instagram to show your item to traffic that looks familiar to people that have bought from your store before. Like Facebook and Instagram, like, you're really getting a lot of money wasted, and it really does matter the time of day that you're launching your ads and how active people are on social media. Etsy is not that. Etsy is showing your product to people that are already searching for that product. Which leads me into my next myth. You should only run ads during the day. It's the same hyper-targeted data sample that is looking and clicking on your ads during the night as it is during the day. So it's not that during the day, all of a sudden, you're getting more hyper-targeted audience people clicking on your listings versus the night. The same data sample of the type of people that Etsy's showing your ad to at the night versus the day. It's not like all of a sudden Etsy's like, let me just waste her budget and show these ads to untargeted people or people that have no interest in these items. Now, Facebook, Google, Instagram, they're gonna do that. They are going to waste your budget for sure, because they don't care. They don't care about your results at all, and they will spend all of your budget, and they will blast it out and give you a bunch of impressions to untargeted people just to send the daily budget that you have it set to. And that is also why on Etsy ads, if you have your budget set to 1,000, it's likely that it's not going to spend 1,000, because you're only paying for the amount of clicks that you actually get. I'm gonna pause the video right there because I have a huge favor to ask right now. I have a goal of interviewing over 500 established Etsy merchants by the end of 2023. Unfortunately, I'm just not a big enough data sample. I know my pain points that I personally have with the Etsy platform, but I want to know what your pain points are. So if you are interested in meeting me in person and having this short 15-minute call, I just thank you so much. Go ahead and click the link in the description, and I will be contacting you very shortly to set up our call. Number 4 is that there's immediate results or immediate gratification with Etsy ads, especially in the beginning. If you're a new shop that has very little reviews or you're in a really competitive niche, you can't expect to spend $100 and be wildly profitable already. You need to spend money in order to collect data on what's going on in your listings. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's wasting your money, but you're not wasting it. Like, that's also the incorrect perspective to have. You have to actually invest in your products to get your answers. And a lot of times you input a lot of money into a listing and you find that it's a dead listing. Well, that's great. Cool. So we can X-nay that, move on to the other things that work. So it's kind of like this game of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Now, a safe play, which is something that I talk about in all my videos. I'm not this girl sitting here telling you to put your ad budget to $1,000 million and then like waste a bunch of money. That's not what I teach or talk about at all. The safe play, especially if you're somebody that has a lot of listings, is only to turn on the listings that start organically taking off first, because then at least you have some organic data behind the listing saying that, something is working and Etsy's favoring it for whatever reason. When you launch a listing, Etsy says that it can take up to 3 months to index and decide where your products even belong. So it really takes weeks, if not months, to collect data on a listing to really know what's going on with it. Or you need to have a listing spend, a certain amount of threshold, which everyone has a different threshold. I have really highly priced products, so my threshold is around $40 to $60 that I'm willing to invest in a listing to see what's going on with my products. Now, if you have low ticket items or you have thousands of listings, your threshold might be a lot lower and you want to get your answers a lot faster. And so that's a whole different strategy for your business model, which leads me to the next point, that Etsy ads are a one-size-fits-all approach, that everyone's strategy is the same. It's not the same. Like I said, it's contingent on how many listings do you have, how many products do you have that are different, that expand your searchability, that will actually increase the amount that your budget spends. So like for my store, selling the same item over and over again, where I don't have a bunch of different products that have a bunch of different keywords that I can start ranking for. My products for the most part are the same. And by the way, my products are the top price of my niche. So I scare away a lot of people just based off my price point. So how do I fix that to expand searchability and expand my opportunity to get clicks? I have to launch more collections that have a lower tier price point, or I need to launch different collections with different types of products so I can rank for different keywords. And so the point here is that what works for one shop doesn't mean that it's gonna work for yours, but hopefully, if you watch my trainings, you will understand the fundamentals and the framework of the Etsy ads, and you can decide for yourself what works best for you. And number 6 is more spending equals more success, which this is also not true, like 100%. It's not true. Just because you throw a bunch of money at it doesn't mean that it's gonna work. You have to be tweaking the dials, optimizing the spend. So from one month to the next, if your marketing cost percentage was 20%, marketing cost percentage meaning what you spent for the month versus top line sales, if that was 20%, then your goal for the next month is to get it down to 17%. And then the next month, get it down to 15% and continue to tweak the dials to get it as low as possible. Because it's not just about spending the most, it's about making the most return on your spend. And you can't know that unless you actually know your numbers and the makeup of your numbers, your break-even return on ad spend, your profit margins, right? All of the things that really matter in understanding your business. So again, full videos, full trainings on my channel that go over all of this stuff. And finally, number 7 is all clicks guarantee sales. This is a lie. No, it doesn't. Just because you get a lot of clicks, it doesn't mean sales. And also, every niche and different stores have different amount of clicks yield different amount of sales. Your conversion rates vary per niche. Like having a 1% conversion rate in one niche might be really low, and then you hop over into another niche and that's really high, right? Like for me, anything over 1.2% conversion rate is pretty profitable for me, right? But that might not be profitable for you based off your spend. To finish off this video here, the big myth that we want to talk about is that basically it's not just about getting clicks, it's about what are you sending those clicks to? How competitive and how do you sell your product in those listings? Do you have beautiful imagery? Maybe you have a really, really good main image, but then when you go to the listing, you only have one other image. Or maybe you have the following images don't have cohesive branding, in which case can scare people away from your listing. You can actually scare people off the listing and you waste that click. You have to have good, beautiful branding and cohesive brand vibes throughout your imagery, your videos, and see where you can add more value or more variation into your listing to sell the customers. When someone clicks, you want that experience of being on your listing to sell them even more. We don't want to scare them away, obviously. But again, full trainings and examples of all of this stuff in my channel, but hopefully you all got some really good value out of this video. Make sure you're commenting your questions down below. And again, my name is Hannah Gardner, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye guys.